Kansai Kollective. Reside of Japan, we out here coolin', Zane and Nessa got connections. We know you got questions. Ain't no need to worry.
And you guys are tuning in for another episode of the Kansai Collective. Thank you for
Collective.
joining us today. Another interview back to back. We're getting them done today. As always, Asa Questenberry joining me, my co-host.
Zane live in the Kansai.
And today joining us, we have our man Alvaro. Alvaro, sir, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Alvaro, and I'm from Chile. I live here for a while, and yeah, I'm creative.
Where in
and
Chile?
Thank you for having me here as well. And
In Chile, where's your hometown?
Santiago.
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 I know nothing about Santiago. Please excuse me.
Ooh, that's okay.
That's okay. So please fill me in. When did you leave Santiago? How old were you?
Oh, I started living when I was kind of like 26.
26.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he's traveled a few different places. Japan wasn't the first place you came to after you left Chile.
No, the whole thing started kind of like with Europe. I went to France. I spent some time on festivals. And
Right.
yeah,
So where favorite place in Europe? Where?
France, Europe. I really enjoy actually Germany.
Germany.
Yeah.
The Deutschland.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I spent some time in Munich.
Munich.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would say Munich in the US. Okay. So you did Europe, and then Alvaro, what brought you to Japan? Why Japan?
Just happens. But no,
Tell us the story.
I have to say that I was really looking forward to kind of leave my country because I was trying to make it happen over there and just didn't really went very
Wasn't
well.
moving?
I don't know. I didn't just connect it, and so I tried. Though I tried for like 10 years, tried to do my magic over there, and no, so wasn't working. So I was okay. I should do something, and
Gotta move. Gotta do something. Okay.
Right.
Okay, what were you doing in Chile?
Of filmmaking, I was doing a lot of films, stuff like that, editing as well. I was working for TV, but I couldn't manage to gather a crew to make actually
Right.
projects because filmmaking is such a team effort. So.
Right.
Yes.
So at that time, I was deciding to where to go, and I was okay, maybe the States or maybe Japan. And I was also a fan of a lot of Japanese movies. Not like I'm fan of anime. I was specific,
Like film.
couple of like anime films, but more like directors. And like for example, I know Ghost in the Shell.
Of course.
Oh.
Yeah,
Of course.
so-
Classic.
Such a smart movie, and the concept is just it's mind blowing. And so so I started learning Japanese actually.
Oh heck! Yes. So did you start studying in Chile or
Yeah, in
after you
Chile.
left? Nice.
Wow,
Okay. So
okay.
that's how you know these were premeditated ideas. You were already studying the language.
Yeah.
So Alvaro, film is your thing, and you couldn't find this team as we've talked about. You know, creatives inspire and empower other creatives. So when you have that team and that network around you,
Work.
It's so
makes
important,
better.
man.
Right. So have you found that in Japan?
Not necessarily. What happens is, as I was looking for ways to express myself and to keep, developing something that for me, it's more like a passion. It's just, I really enjoyed making it and doing
Right.
it. So that's why I choose to actually do CG animation. So while I was in university,
Spicy.
I was kind of like, okay, this is not really going anywhere with actual real like how to say live action film.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, so I can write, I can write my own stories, and then I can, make it happen. And I play around a little bit with 2D, didn't really work very well. And I play around with stop motion, very messy, fun, but
Messy.
very messy.
Okay.
And no, I was like, okay, no, CG. So that's when I start trying CG.
It's
And
crazy, man. We watch all these animated movies Disney makes, and I've seen some of Alvaro's work, and just to make a chair, you know what I'm saying? You put a lot
The
of
effort that goes into that digital chair.
exactly like so.
if you want to make it unique, because you can actually use a share that is already,
So there's like template chairs that you can get.
You can get
or
everything
like stock
from
chairs.
yeah, exactly. But if you really want to make it kind of unique and you want to give it, that kind of like unique style, then you have to put, your own touch to it, and that's when you
Put in the time.
make
Right,
it from
right.
scratch, or you yeah.
So okay, so let me get this timeline. So you're in Chile. You're like, nah, this isn't cutting it. I got to spread my wings. I got to get somewhere else. But you didn't really know what you want to do. But you're like, maybe Japan. So you started studying Japanese. When you're in university, you were like, live action film also, not feeling it.
That wasn't working with people.
Wasn't
Because you
with-
need people.
oh, right,
The
right,
thing is,
right.
I am not a lonely person. I'm not a lonely wolf. It's like filmmaking is it's a creative thing. It's a creative effort, and I
Right.
managed to make films with people. Camera dude, the producer, the sound guy, the actresses.
The whole crew.
Right.
Like I don't know how to say, location scouting people, the whole thing,
Wow,
right? And
yeah.
and it's so much fun. Actually, for a lot of filmmakers, making a movie is not actually the movie. It's about the process of making it. It's actually like a little party.
Right.
10 days or a month or 6 months.
This team effort for
Dude,
this,
it's amazing.
Right,
It's
right.
just so cool.
Wow.
But something happened at that time that everybody wanted to just do their own thing, and everybody wants kind of like to be directors because it's kind of like the thing that's very flashy.
Right.
So it didn't work out, and
So then you move into
I was
animation.
what to do, what I should what
Right.
and then it's like, okay, CG. But why CG? Because in CG you have everything. So you can become actually like a quote unquote god of.
So can you
a
explain
thing.
to the audience? So what is CG? Like, let's pretend you have
Computer
no idea.
graphics.
Computer graphics, animation, digital films. So is that the same as, let's say, anime that I would watch? Is that the same, or is it?
Well, now the thing, I know what it is because now you can use cell shading, kind of like texture shading that
Okay.
looks like actually 2D,
Right.
But it's actually CG characters, which is actually geometry,
Okay.
that
Wow.
moves around like games basically. But
Right.
So, but anyway, let me finish. Let me, because this is the crazy thing. It's like I was
Tell us.
studying Japanese, right?
Okay.
And I was really into Japan. I'm gonna try, but to get into Japan through like the traditional channels, it's very difficult, right? And like
Right,
you have
definitely.
to kind of get the language, then do a test, then get a scholarship, and it's very difficult. It's very, very, very difficult to pass that. So I tried, did it, I didn't pass, right? So I was like, okay. And at the same time, I was making this project, this animation film, which was my thesis.
Right.
I
okay.
finished it.
So the project was your thesis.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I
okay,
finished
okay.
it. I graduated from university.
Okay.
I finished it. I took it with me and I went to the States actually to visit my family there.
Okay.
And while I was in the States, I was sending my project to different festivals. It didn't really got any traction in anywhere, only in Japan.
Only
Wow.
in Japan.
That's,
That's
the energy
cool.
transcended.
It happens.
Hey,
and
man.
They invited me to the festival in Tokyo. And I came
Heck
here
yeah, nice.
2009.
2009. So okay,
Yeah.
so you've also put in quite a bit of time in Japan then. I mean, have you been in Japan from 2009 on?
No.
Okay.
So basically, so with one of my previous work, I went to Cannes Film Festival in France. While in France, I met some Japanese people that were living in Paris.
Right.
After them, 3 or 4 years later,
Right,
when I
right,
finished my project, and I sent it to all these festivals, I got invitations, and I
Right.
decided to fly out to Japan to the festivals. While I was in Japan, in Tokyo, some friends that I met, these people that I met in
Back in
France,
Paris,
they were
yeah.
living here.
Okay.
So we connected again. And that's how I get more
Connections,
acquaintances and more people that I start meeting. And that's how the whole kind of like Japan connection thing start happening, right? But mostly through friends, right?
Right.
Just the connections, the friends that got you the in.
Connections
to the
are
country.
very,
Meeting
very
people.
important.
Yeah, right,
Not,
man.
they were not related to the industry.
But just people you knew in the country. It helps, man. It helps
Yeah.
a ton, man. That local insight, that local, knowledge goes so far.
I was like a little bit of a pirate. Like I didn't really have not much money. I was just like had
The artist's life.
Yeah, just the project in my hands. These festivals. I went to 2 festivals. So basically, I came here for one festival. Was NHK film, kind of like TV show thing
Nice,
festivals.
NHK.
And the other one was right at the end of November or something like that. So I couldn't just go back
Right,
and
right,
forward.
right.
I just came here for just 3 months of tourist visa, and I stay here. Yeah, and that
All
time
right.
I when I decided like, okay, this is kind of working, like CG, and that's when I decided to went more into it.
How was your first impression of Japan? Was it what you expected, or what was it?
What do you think when you first come to Japan? The experience.
Honestly, the thing is, I tend to not see things too much through stereotypes. That's the way my mind
Smart.
works.
That's good.
right?
Yeah,
It's
always
just
good.
the way I am. So for me, it's just people, right?
Right.
And so, of course, different, but at the same time, it was just fun. I mean, I felt kind of like at home in a way. So, yeah.
That connects all of us, man. That you feel like Japan, man. Once you're here, you're like you get used to things very quickly, and you're like, oh, this feels more like home than where I was before, right? So,
Well, you were in Tokyo first, and you know Kansai and Kanto are very different.
Kansai Collective.
Well, my friends in Tokyo, they told me about Osaka at that time. More than, I mean, Osaka, and I didn't really know much about Kansai.
Right.
So
how did you come to Kansai? How did you get here?
So at that time, it was okay. So I think I should get into more CG, like a more animation, more technical. Because when I finished my thesis, it was mostly about storytelling, and basically just having a story to tell through images, and, you know, a film. So I wasn't really too much into the CG technical aspects of. I wasn't really too savvy about it. So at that time, it was okay. I think I have to get into the technical aspects of these things, so I have to study it.
Right.
And I had two options.
Start improving the craft, right?
Yeah, I have two options. Or I stay here in Japan and study Japanese, get the visa, the student visa, and prolong my stay here. Or I actually use the money to study animation, but not in here, right? And
outside of the country.
Yeah, and so while I was in Germany for that year was crazy, and I was
For another
researching.
episode.
Secret Germany trip, yeah.
No, that year. The year I went to see my sister, I told you I was applying for a lot of festivals, and I got selected in different countries, and one was also Germany, right? I went there, but anyway, the thing is, I was searching for schools. I was already thinking about it.
Okay.
And I found one in New Zealand, and then some friends that were also living there from Chile. They were like going through the working holiday thing.
All over, man. Crazy.
So basically, my family supported me, but they were like, we can pay for the school. But that's it. You are on your own.
You gotta pay, you gotta make your own bread.
So I was like, okay. So what should I do? So I had friends in New Zealand who were working like on a bar, like stuff like that, and they were like, dude, if you come here, and even if I'm not here, I can tell the guys that owns the bar that you can come here and you can work for them.
Nice.
So okay, that was sorted out. So I decided to come to New Zealand, Auckland, and
So you had a.
I found out school there.
Nice.
A detour.
Very cool.
Okay.
So you go Chile, U.S., Japan,
No,
Europe, France, Japan,
France, Chile, US, Germany, US, Japan.
Ooh.
And Japan back to US, and then that's actually when in US they told me you have to stop doing this.
Stop going back and forth.
Yeah, they actually detained me for like 2 days at the airport. Yeah, because they thought that I was doing something
Sasuga
weird.
America. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, it was weird. Anyway, then I flew back to my country, stayed there for a year. We did the whole process for the school, and then I flew to New Zealand, Auckland.
And how long were you in New Zealand for?
2 years.
2 years in New
Yeah.
Zealand.
Yeah.
So in total, how long have you spent in Japan?
Almost 9 years now.
Almost 9. So this is like a decade ago.
Yeah, while in New
crazy.
Zealand, I was looking for work after I finished school, and I found a couple of places, but they were not really too into making me wanted to stay there.
Right.
They were not really like, we are not going to sponsor your work
I'm
visa,
curious
so.
because how was your Japanese language ability when you were in New
Oh,
Zealand?
very bad.
So how were you looking for jobs? Like how were you?
So this, man.
Okay, so while in New Zealand, I met someone, right? And
Someone.
yeah, I met someone.
Special someone?
Yeah, it was
Winky
kind of
winky?
special.
Oh,
yeah, so-
even better.
And
Another
she
romantic
was
story.
Japanese, yeah. So-
Sasuga.
Anyway, so during that time, she was like, okay, I have to go back to Japan for a while, visit my family. And it's like, okay, I would love to go. I have like a holiday break, and why not? I have friends that I would love to see them. So I came back to Japan again for friends and just kind of like for, that kind of connection.
Networks.
And these guys in Tokyo, they were like, what are you doing? They asked me. It's like, I have just finished school in New Zealand doing CG. It's like, oh, you have a portfolio? It's like, yeah, this is what I've been doing. Oh, okay. Just people looking for CG
Nice.
artists and whatever. And this company is like doing a lot of projection mappings. And why you don't try? Okay. And I tried, and they say, oh, they gotta apply. So why you don't say that you're here and you may actually have an interview? And that's what I did. And the boss of the company says like, okay, we'd love to meet you.
Nice.
And
I guess the
man.
interview. Sick. Okay.
And that's how I got the interview. And at that interview, my boss asked me where you would like to work. And because people told me about Osaka and the style of Osaka that is a little bit more like friendly,
Osaka.
yeah. So
Nice.
say okay, I think it might be a better, easy or kind of like introduction to live in Japan. I think it would be nice to just start in Osaka.
Osaka.
Nice, man.
So since you've been living here for work,
Yeah.
have you always lived in Osaka? Osaka.
Beautiful, and he lives in a
Osaka,
very
boy.
good area, man. Where
you at?
did you start in Tanimachi, bro, or in that
Bentencho, like
Bentencho.
Kujo.
Okay.
Kujo.
Yeah, around that area.
Uh,
And then I moved now to Yodogawa.
Okay.
Well,
Which
like
part?
5 years ago.
East of Higashi Yodogawa?
Higashi Yodogawa.
Higashi Yodogawa. When I first came to Japan, I was in Higashi Yodogawa. But I was like right near Shinosaka Station, so it was like not anything desirable. So okay, very
So as a CG
persistent, man, very persistent, Alvaro. I love it.
It just happens, and it's like you move around, you try to be, or maybe you are, or I don't know, it just happens, right? It's crazy that it happens through not actually pursuing it too much through, you know, contacts and networking related to your industry. It happens through actually acquaintances and people
Connections
just met
with
outside,
people, right?
outside, right? And that's my story. I mean, for other people, it might actually be different, for sure. There's for some people, don't you? It's just getting to, they finish school and they get right into the industry. No, for me, it was more like a huge journey.
All
was completely
around.
different.
Yeah. Well, one thing that's common, I think, with the people not to cut you off, brother, but like there's such a commonality of people that are out here that are doing something interesting. You ask them how it started, and it's like, I just knew a person that led to this situation, which led to this person, which took me to this situation. So it's just these human connections that like open more doors than any other way, in my opinion.
And I learned so much. I mean, I remember when I was here, the first time I came to Tokyo, I mean, people really were having a difficult time to like, what about this guy? You know, it's like he's just here, no money. How he's okay? You know, it's like why he's not nervous? It's like, can we trust him, right? And I mean, I remember going through that conversation with a lot of like friends at that time, and I understand. I mean, totally understand. But at the same time, it's kind of like you have one option.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly, but you cannot really blame people not to do that because you know society, it's complicated.
Especially in a country like Japan, which is it's so uncommon to kind of take these different routes.
But it's Japanese people that they also traveled.
Of course.
I mean, for example, one of the lady friend that I have here, she was part of the JICA program. I don't know if you know about that.
No, what is that?
It's kind of like a program that Japan has that it's to help countries in developing countries.
Oh, okay.
So they send people to these countries.
It's like humanitarian.
It's like a government agency thing, and they put some money into helping other countries to develop themselves. So they send a lot of Japanese people overseas to these very poor communities, right? So this lady, she was part of it. So in a way, I think she was kind of like doing that job, so to speak, with people around her. And I happens to be that person as well.
Right.
And it was funny because she thought that actually I was a very, very typical Latin man.
Okay. And what is that image?
The stereotypical Latin people is just dancing, drinking, partying all the time.
Dancing, drinking, partying.
And a lot of women.
And a lot of women.
Which is, I think it's true from a lot of men, not just Latin people.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
was she cautious around you?
She was confused.
Oh, okay.
Because she didn't know.
What are you, Alvaro?
Yeah,
what type of Latin man are you?
Exactly, right. But I was completely the opposite. It was like very, you know, how to say, straightforward, saying, you know, the things,
Nice.
you know, very
Genuine, right?
direct, and you know, but still, people managed to somehow give me a hand. And actually, I met a guy from Argentina who was actually working for the embassy in my country here.
Was he a stereotypical Latin man?
No, he was super Japanese, but he grew up and he was born and and raised in Argentina.
Gotcha.
Is there a large Chilean population in Japan?
Tokyo for sure.
Tokyo for sure. Okay.
Here there is some, but not many.
What are Chilean people usually interested in Japanese culture?
I don't know.
That's kind of broad. What are Americans interested in?
Anime.
Fair enough. How are you guys interested in anime? I mean, Yakuza.
Porn.
So you are born in Yakuza.
Let's talk about that.
That'll get to it. So on a more PG-13 topic, you are an animator. You're a CG animator. Do you have an interest in anime? You're in the country of anime.
That's the thing. It's like I'm not. No, not really.
Not at all. It's interesting. It's interesting that it's like
It's a format. It's a format and it's a style, right? So I'm not super drawn into that because, again, it's more my personality. I felt like it kind of like, I don't know, puts you in a box.
Right.
It's amazing. I love it to watch it, but it's not. I don't know if enough to replicate it or enough to make me feel like that's something that it's just
I'm interested to get your opinion on something. So there's an interesting topic today that I saw. I've talked with friends about it, and then I saw an article in the Japan Times, and it was talking about how with anime and manga right now in Japan, it's almost like a renaissance where globally it's the most popular it's ever been, and the quality is the best it's ever been. But the working conditions for a lot of people in the industry
we're gonna get into that.
are of course you're in the I mean you're in that realm.
Actually I've been thinking to do a documentary about it.
Right, because and it talks about how it's the best in the world, but for the people involved, they're like, unless you're the person who made the manga or made the anime, you're not making any money, and you're working these crazy long hours, and it's like not a happy environment from what people say. Please
so
give us the
we're getting
insight.
into that.
教えてください。お願いします。
Nah, sadly has to, we have to get into the Japanese mentality.
So is it the Japanese way of doing animation, or is it the industry?
It's the culture.
Okay. Explain.
Because I mean, you've been here for a while, and basically the Japanese culture it's a culture that they don't like confrontation, and they are not very direct, and they basically the word funky, right? They just
Atmosphere,
and it's just a group mentality. So that has a lot of
impact,
good things, and also bad outcomes. And one of the bad outcomes is it's very difficult for them to critique or to express their needs, and even if they are like
so if there's a problem, right?
Dude, the government has support and have like a structure, because we live in a social democracy system, right?
Right.
So basically what means that it's capitalist based system, but very regulated, right? So the basic needs are met for most of the people in Japan.
But that's it.
What means but what that means that someone or a group of people at some point during the I don't know, creation of the government or developing plans or rules or
whatever,
someone put it in place, right? What that means is like the system and the structure is there, is available, but people are not using it. What is required for these things to help these animators or these people that are like struggling because of low wages? Engagement. And that's what people don't do it.
So you're saying the systems so we're in reference to like the animator industry, the systems to help and take care of people in that industry aren't really taken advantage of.
No.
There. Oh, okay. Very, very. And is there a reason you think why?
Because people don't like to engage in something that it might actually disturb the funky, disturb the environment.
Even if half the staff are starving. Right.
Yeah, because it's like, for example, a very simple thing. It's like people don't take holidays here.
Right.
So
overwork and no holidays.
But the funny thing is like there's no work. Dude, I've been at a Kaishain for like 8 years.
That means a full-time
Kaishain,
employee.
you are a full-time employee. You get tax benefits and healthcare.
Yeah, everything. And yeah, of course there is work. You do things for clients, but also there is a lot of free time.
A lot of free time.
A lot of free time, and it's not my free time. It's not because I'm Kaishain. I mean, sorry, Gaokugujin, foreigner. That I have everybody have free time, and the company that I work for, they have a policy or like a culture of like, with the free time you have, please use the machines, please use the resources, and develop something that you like to develop, and use it. But people don't really do that because they don't want to take responsibility of whatever they came out, whatever they're doing, and at the same time, there is holidays. They are not taking them.
Right. If other people are not taking it, then they don't take
the
it.
pressure. The pressure.
So
right.
that example you can apply for the same thing when it comes to actually
Everything,
taking action for something that it's complex. It might actually create a problem.
Right.
Problem adverse society.
It's a very much like don't rock the boat.
Yeah.
Even if there's something wrong, even if you're like, oh, there's some big waves coming, don't rock the boat.
Yeah, don't rock the boat.
Very very interesting. I do agree. I mean, you can see, there's pros and cons in every society, but I think one of for foreigners here, of course, you deal with when you're mentioning, for example, like there isn't work being done. Like a lot of people I know that are kaishin that work in these big corporate businesses, you're working and you're there, but it's more you're there in body and not in effort, right? Where you might not be necessarily, you're there 12 hours, but are you working 12 hours straight? Maybe not.
My theory, it's the Japanese working culture started right after, as we know right now, right after they lost the war and they have to rebuild the country. So they had a huge, kind of like a mission to accomplish. A huge,
rebuilding country, yeah, of course.
Meaning for whatever they were doing to rebuild the country, meaning and they did it. They accomplished it, dude, amazingly. But after that, they forgot to actually start mentioning what we're going to do after. So what's happening right now is you have a generation kind of like not knowing what to pursue after.
Yeah.
And so in a way, they have a country that it's amazing, and we all know the good things about it, and we enjoy them. But at the same time, we have a society that forgot to start really creating meaningful things to do right after this huge task for as a country. And also because as they work as a group mentality, they don't really have another big mission now to do. Right? So that's what creates this void and meaningful things for people to like. There's no meaning anymore.
One thing I think that's really interesting that I read, is talking about like when you talk at like the cultural history of Japan. I mean, and going like way back. I mean, Japanese started, religiously with Shintoism and a huge connection to nature and the arts and self-expression for a very, 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 arguably half of the country's history. However, that drastically changed with the shogunates and the military rule when the country was closed for 400 years, and you had a total opposite approach where it went from free spirit, calligraphy, all of the arts that were built into the culture. Suddenly, the shogun kept everything very, very militaristically ruled, right? And that's what kind of started the whole work mentality of a system that you don't kind of change. So at all times, you have this tug and pull between their polar opposite types of being, a very free-loving, easygoing, free-flowing society, very in touch with nature and self and expression, to this very like military determined, like no self-expression, you're part of a machine. And those two systems I think you can find at play in all times. Like, so for example, like tatemae and hone, which we talk about all the time, right? Like giving your true expression of hone or tatemae, that like society expression, what you should say. And we all know, like when you go out and drink with Japanese people, that's when you get their real thinking. So it's only when they maybe have had a little bit to drink, they're feeling less sober, that they can shake away that kind of rigidness that was kind of put on by the shogunate. So it's a very, very interesting society.
Yeah, and you can see it throughout the whole society. Everything that you do,
Business, everything, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Relationships, community, right?
But you've been here for 9 years and you survived the full time.
You're still going, man, right?
Yeah, well, because I think again, it's a society that it's a place that has a lot of resources. I think in my case, it's very interesting because I feel it's very fertile, and
it is,
but
for
it's
sure.
up to you.
Facts.
Right.
And the thing is that it's up to you. For Western people, maybe for us, it's kind of like it's the norm. It's just you have to do it on your own.
Right.
Here's everything you need. It's your choice of what you're going to do with it.
Right.
But the Japanese people don't work like that. They don't do it like that. For example, self-promotion is something that now is starting to kind of like becoming a thing.
Self-branding,
The internet is changing that.
Right.
The internet is really bringing that notion of like, okay, you have to really do it, because if not, things are not going to work out the way you want, because you're not using the tools that is free based kind of. But in general, people don't do that because they work as a group mentality, and the individualist approach to do things is not being also taught at school.
Right.
Yeah, man. Like me teaching English, you see kids who are good at English, but they don't want to answer the questions because
Don't want to stand out.
they don't want to stand out.
There you go.
Man.
So that's
Kansai Kollective, reside of Japan. We out here coolin', Zane and Nasa got connections. We know you got